Hello, everyone. Very exciting audiophile roundtable, an exclusive special announcement and unboxing of Rhino High Fi's next rock release. I have him, Patrick Milligan from Rhino. How are you, sir?
Howdy, Steve. Doing good. How about you?
I'm really good. I know people probably want to see what we have here. They've been waiting. Big release
Well, we
tomorrow
yeah,
on the
we
website.
did mention that we were going to do something unique in a
Yeah.
hi-fi series that we've not yet done, and you will see this morning. You will be able to order this beautiful first Rhino Hi-Fi box set.
Boom. ZZ Top. What are we
ZZ.
looking at? Tell the folks what we're looking at.
This is the Rhino Hi-Fi. You'll see there's only 4 because I pulled one of them out, but it's the Rhino Hi-Fi edition of the first 5 ZZ Top albums. They're London albums, from ZZ Top's first album to Tejas and everything in between. So some of their greatest albums, in my estimation, cut by Kevin Gray and pressed at optimal, as always.
Yeah.
And we have fabulous liner notes in this set, done by my friend James Austin, who happens to be good friends with Billy F. Gibbons, and interviewed him for these notes. They get into a lot of detail of the makings of the records and what instruments Billy used and all kinds of things. So they're quite fascinating. Billy was really excited to do this.
Yeah.
He has received his copy already and loves it. So we're very proud of that. And, Steve, you've had a chance to listen to these, so I think you will corroborate that they sound.
Yeah, I mean, they are. I mean, we know what to expect of a Kevin Gray cut, right? So, I mean, these things really, they gave me some chills. I was really impressed with it. I will tell you, and I'll be quite honest with them, I've never been a huge ZZ Top fan of sort of pre-MTV, right? The 1983, it was the Eliminator album, which is the one that really hit, right? So really for me, I mean, I know the albums, of course. It's not something I've had in my collection. I've listened to them over the years, but wow, I was blown away by it. I mean, I think everyone's going to be really excited to get this. And also, too, we should mention they are limited, right? You'll see here.
They are indeed limited. This set is numbered. It comes with a ZZ Top slip mat.
There it is, and limited to 2,000.
It's limited to 2,000. And we are, as such, limiting 2 per customer this time. So
yeah.
Just there are fewer of them. We've been listening to people. We too don't like to see people buy 10 copies of Black Sabbath and flip them for big money on eBay and Discog. So we want to try to honor people's desire to keep that more in line. But you're welcome to 2 of them if you want. They're $199.98, which is a pretty good deal.
That's a great deal for audiophile, 5 records cut by Kevin Gray. Now, I was going to ask you, limited to 2,000. If you're from Canada or Australia, can you just go to the website in their country then?
And that is a little bit of an upgrade this go round, is that if you are in Canada or Australia, you do not have to order from the Rhino USD2C store. You can go to your local website and get it there. So I believe that will mean cheaper shipping and quicker shipping, hopefully. So
hopefully,
just trying to branch out and get things to people in a better way.
So let's go right to that. So how did you guys package the ZZ Top box? What's different this time?
Well, we are actually making our own shippers for this set, a custom shipper, which we often do on box sets, but we haven't really done for hi-fi yet. So it comes in this nice box with, I'm about to lose an album here, with the ZZ Top logo on, as you can see.
Yep.
Nice, big, heavy, sturdy box with plenty of room inside, with good reinforcement to hold the album in very tightly.
Yeah, it was nicely packaged when I got it as well. So
it's. I don't think there's going to be any problems with this shipper. And as I say, we've done box sets with these kind of custom shippers.
There it is. Right in.
We've never had any issues with them, so I think this should be a good way to get things to people. So.
And it came from California to Vancouver with no problems mine. So, I mean, it was tightly packaged and, again, no problems at all. And, yeah, I will tell you, I love the faux leather and I love the so when people get it, it didn't move around in the box. It's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to look worn, guys, okay? Yeah. It's not from the box.
the distressed faux leather, yeah.
Well done. Maybe you should give a shout-out to your art department. These guys really
stepped up. Our production department really, sort of knocked it out on this one. Kristen Attaway, who oversaw the production of this, was just really into it, made sure it was as beautiful as it could be. And our designer, Greg Allen, did a wonderful job. So Yeah, I'm super pleased with how it turned out, and I know uh, Billy got to see everything on the through the process, and when he saw what we were doing for the box set, he really loved that. So we're hoping we're going to get Billy to do an unboxing at
Oh,
some.
that'll be amazing. So Billy Gibbons then listened to these cuts that Kevin Gray mastered, the box.
You
What
know, I know that Billy has seen it. I don't know for sure that he's heard it. His manager listened to it, and his manager was ecstatic about it.
okay.
He just was blown away. So
So he's going to do an unboxing probably. So at that point, hopefully,
we're hoping
after
to.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
Well,
hoping to.
that'll be really cool. So numbered to 2,000, limited to two per customer. Yeah, I guess you expect sales to be quite brisk. This is big in the audiophile market. I feel this is something that we wouldn't expect to see, and
I
I
think
think
so
it's
too. And
really fun.
we've always tried to do that with hi-fi is to, and I know sometimes we come up with things that people go, well, gee, it seems like that's been done a lot. And it's hard to avoid that in some cases. I can tell you, I think I saw a lot of that on Bad Company, and we didn't really sort of make a big deal about the fact, but it was something that we did to honor the 50th anniversary of the
Mhm.
album. And management had specifically reached out just to see if we could, do something to honor the record. And we thought, well, we've done expanded versions before. Let's do a hi-fi. And you've heard it. It sounds amazing. And I think most people that have heard it, even though people were somewhat cynical about it, have thought that it's pretty great. So anyway, not to go off on
Yeah.
Bad Company, but I think that, we were thinking of some stuff to do with these early ZZ Top albums. They're so great. They're very lauded. And we just thought, they haven't really got the audiophile treatment. I know Vinyl Me Please did Tres Hombres a while back. But we did get the original tapes. Again, Kevin cut these, and they're rock albums, and they sound, Kevin gets a lot of detail in these things, but it does not take away from the power or the grittiness of these records. They're so masterfully made, and each one gets a little bit better than the next. I mean, Bill Ham who was the manager and producer, did the first couple of albums very simply. They're very organic, but just, great playing, great songs, Billy's great guitar playing, and all the sounds. And as that progresses, especially by the time they get to Tres Hombres, there's just a lot more production going on. They started working with Terry Manning, and so the progression of the albums is quite
Well,
amazing. Then, as you know, Fandango has one live side and one
well,
studio side.
well,
So
let's get into that. We'll start with the first album as
yeah, okay.
well. Grab that one. Um, Again, I'll just show it here. I mean, again, obviously, to be expected with the Rhino Hi-Fi series. Really nice, as usual.
Hmm.
And then for the people that like their tape porn, there it is. Lacquer's Cut It Amigo, Dolby Master. Now, let's address something before we go forward. I noticed this, Patrick. They're going to look at this and say, well, hang on, the first album wasn't 1978. Are you not using the original master tapes? It's showing here that it was received October 18th, 1978. Patrick, what gives?
Well, as probably some people know, after the first five records that were on London Records, ZZ Top moved to Warner Brothers with their first album for Warner, which was De Guayo. Excuse me. And at some point, presumably around 1978, the London masters were acquired by Warner Brothers and reissued
Okay.
and have been on Warner Brothers ever since. So these were the tapes that came from London, and you see a received date of
I
October
do. Yep.
1978. That's presumably when they got the tapes from London. They have Warner logos all over them, but as you know, the records were reissued on Warner Brothers, which we aren't anymore. We're now Warner Music, Warner Records. Um, and the records were recut, repressed, had new artwork with Warner logos and labels and everything. So, but these are the actual tapes, as you can see here. Master used for lacquers, CEQ'd for copies. So this is the real deal. And once again, we've got these great notes talking about the making of the record. Got some ephemera here. Nice ZZ Top's first album, 8-track.
I love the 8-track
The
picture.
opposite,
That was
the
awesome.
opposite of Rhino High Fidelity, mind you.
And I really enjoyed reading the liner notes. I mean, you mentioned that it was James Austin that interviewed Billy Gibbons, and just by reading it, these guys had some fun doing this interview. It seemed like it was a lot of fun, a lot of
Yeah,
information. It was great.
yeah. James actually is a colleague of mine that used to work at Rhino too. We used to work here together, and he worked on some of the ZZ Top stuff that we did way back in the day. But he's just become good friends with Billy. They sort of bonded over cars and barbecue and things like that. So they hit it off really well, and it comes through on those notes. They do have a fun time talking about
And
that.
and this is really, I mean, probably just a live recording in the studio, right? There's no overdubbing on their
Pretty
first
minimal
album,
overdubs,
or
I think. Yeah,
nothing at all, right? I mean, it was pretty
yeah,
much just go get it done,
pretty
boys, and
much. Yeah,
put it on tape.
maybe a little guitar overdubs here and there,
Yeah,
but it's pretty basic.
yeah. So we would consider, I mean, this, in terms of sort of the style they were going for in the beginning, especially on the, the first album, like the blues, boogie, hard rock, southern rock type of sort of influences. Is that what I would
Yeah,
sort of
I think some of
describe
the
it as?
early stuff,
Yeah.
is a little more boogie
Okay.
than maybe some of the later stuff. I mean, I think part of what's so interesting about what they do, and as they go along, again by Tres Hombres, they implement these really sort of authentic blues elements into something that's very rock. And it's not like people didn't do that before. I mean, people were doing that, since the Yardbirds
Right.
and whatever. But this isn't just a very unique way, and in a very southern and very Texas kind of way, I think.
Very Texas, yes. Well, they had one hit single off that album. It was what Somebody Else Been Shaking Your Tree, right? That was the hit they had off that album in
It
January of 1971. Well, I think it charted, didn't it? If I was to look it up, I think it.
lies up somewhere. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
possible.
maybe not, but I mean that's sort of the known single of the day, or the
Yeah.
one that they released. I mean, maybe it was, maybe they didn't get to that level yet in the first album, but they're just working up towards it. I mean, but still, again, for me, this is cool because ZZ Top. I know it, from my era, right? I would have been a teen when the MTV thing hit up, and so I know MTV as being, that car, the Eliminator album, You Got Legs, synthesizers, that whole sound and whatnot. And this is really pre that, and it really, really you can see the talent of these guys, and it really comes out in all this album, and it builds up, and we'll get into that as we go through the other four
Yeah.
albums as well. It's just
No,
amazing.
they do have an amazing chemistry together, and they just, they know how to blend. And in a way, it's kind of surprising that as they went on and had these bigger hits, that Billy sort of moved away from using those guys and went to kind of doing everything himself with, samples and keyboards and drum machines and
But
loops.
maybe it was sort of the sign of the times. I think it was just one of those things that he was able to
Yeah,
do with space and everything at that
I
point.
think it's
And
partly that. Plus, he came up with a sound. He had a vision for something, and obviously, it was very successful. And I think in modern years, they've kind of come back around to this original approach a bit. And I had mentioned, I think, at some other point that I believe it was during the CD era that this happened, that they reissued all these original albums
okay,
on CD as a set. I think it was actually the first 6 albums, but sort of redone to be a little more similar to, like Eliminator and the later records. So
so these aren't remixes; these from the
these
original tapes.
are the original master tapes, the original mixes, the original records. We reached out to Terry Manning, who produced the third, fourth, and fifth record in this set, and the first thing he asked me was, "These aren't those ones that are redone, are they?" And I said, "They are absolutely not." So
There you go.
yeah,
Let's get to the second one. What do we got here? We'll go chronologically. So
okay,
it would
we got
be Rio Grande Mud, I
Rio
believe.
Grande Mud, which I just listened to again the other night. What a great record! And it's
What a great cover! Look at them. They're
yeah,
swimming in some sort of, where would this be, in a Texas lake?
yeah, the Rio
Wherever.
Grande, yeah.
There you go. Love it.
They, but the record starts off with their single Francine, which is one of my favorite ZZ Top songs. If you don't know that song,
I do, and I will say, if you look at the tape box here, Francine spelt wrong on the tape
it
box.
is. It is, and I think there was a foreign single issue that was spelled wrong too. So
Again, James Austin doing the liner notes here, interviewing Gibbons again. Great stuff. And I think here, look at this. There you go. There's some pictures of the Francine single, I believe, in
yep,
different countries. I didn't. Yeah, so it would have been in Japanese and Turkish single sleeves.
they were becoming worldwide.
That's amazing. Second album worldwide, and this is before the internet. Before the internet, so that's impressive. So they
Yeah.
would have had to have been marketed by.
Regionalism was still a thing.
That's right. So tell us about this. Tell us about this album. I mean, when it did you, as a young lad, were you into the ZZ Top at this point? Was this something that was your genre, or did you know
It
about
wasn't
them?
exactly my genre, and I will say that I didn't really become familiar with ZZ Top until the next album, which is Tres Hombres. So
Okay.
I sort of backtracked at some point and got to know these earlier albums better. And that's, I didn't know Francine real time, but when I heard the record and heard that, I was like, oh my God, this is such a great song. And
Yeah.
it's got elements of Brown Sugar to it, which they kind of play up a bit because there's a part towards the end of it where they go, woo!
I mean, they got a song called Chevrolet, which is the last track of side one, which I think is a really cool track as well. And and then on side two, you got Apologies to Pearly and Barbecue, and then go all the way down to Whiskey and Mama and Down
All things
Brownie.
that define who they are, right? I
Just
mean,
the good old Texas boys were in everything, right?
that's
I
like
mean,
their
it's
vision statement.
just great. And yeah, I think this was I think they really liked this album cover too. I remember reading about this years back as well. So it's kind of cool.
It's
Taking a break in the Texas heat, right? Going for a little
it's
bit of a dunk.
it's a great cover, and it really just communicates kind of what their whole sound is, just that gritty, Texas. It's
Yeah,
pretty perfect, really.
yeah. And we didn't mention this, and I think I have it here. Of course, it comes in the
I can't tell you how happy those inner sleeves make me.
Rhino
That's
logo
another
inner
thing I
sleeve.
have to give a hat tip to Kristen for.
So nice,
I
love
have
it.
to give a hat tip to Lauren Goldberg too, who keeps all this stuff running and does a lot here. The whole D2C team is really great. Cheryl Farber, Royal Momberger, Steve Woolard, the whole gang.
So
Give them all.
Rio Grande. I mean, we had ZZ Top come out in '71, and right away, Rio Grande Mud came out in '72. I mean, they were banging these records out, right? I
That's
mean,
how things were in those days. We were just listening to Elton John today and just marveling at how prolific he was and how many records came one right after the other. I mean, he had 3 records in one year. So that was kind of the order of the day. These
it
days
happened,
we're
yeah.
used to waiting 6 years between records for people,
Right?
but it used to be, there was a time in the 70s at least when it was pretty much everybody had an album a year. But in the 60s, people had 2, 3 albums a year, So
And think about this. They were also touring and doing concerts and
exactly.
recording. So I don't know when they had a life, but Rio
Well,
Grande, we're gonna.
and to be fair, obviously, it takes longer to make albums these days. Technology has kind of dictated that because a lot of records were, you know, pretty much done live with minimal overdubs and 3 or 4 track machines. So it's a much different game now
Right,
that it
right,
does
right.
take longer. But
So with Rio Grande Mud, going back to Francine, that did reach the Billboard. That was a number, I think it was like number 69 on the Billboards back in the day, back in 1972. So that was, I guess, would be considered their first hit single back in the
yeah,
day.
I mean, I would imagine that the Billboard chart positions are really sort of indicating top 40 radio play,
Yeah.
and I'm guessing it was pretty minimal. But I would figure that this was getting some FM play, and that's probably how a lot of people ended up knowing about ZZ Top. Pretty sure I didn't hear Lagrange on pop radio, but I'm
Hold
sure.
on, we got to get to that one. That's the next album. So put it up, Trey Ombre. Here we go. I'll put it up. You got it?
Yeah, mine's in my box. I'll let you show.
Okay, there it is. There, of course. There's the back.
Another great album cover.
Oh my gosh, isn't that great? There they are. And then, of course, we open it up. I think this is the best. Would this be considered a Texas barbecue, Texas dinner,
I
or would this be?
believe
Or
so. So yeah, that's the original inner gatefold. So, but yeah,
I when I go when I
it's like their mission statement.
I love this. I'm listening to this record. I'm just staring at this picture when I was listening to this cut the other day. It was great.
But it's this I think is the record that really kind of brought people into the ZZ Top world, and obviously because it had a couple of pretty big songs like Lagrange and Waiting for the Bus, which is my other favorite ZZ Top song.
So
And
look,
those
look,
had a fair amount of airplay, so that people started to know about these. But as you're listening to these, we're talking about the progression. The progression
yeah.
between the second album and this one is pretty significant. And again, I think Terry Manning being brought in to help produce the records had a bit of a hand in that. But it's just the production becomes more inventive too. There's a lot of different things going on, and like I was saying, the way they implement the sort of authentic blues with kind of a more gritty rock and roll sort of sound is unique. It's, not that people didn't fuse those things, but the way they did it was pretty unique.
So this album peaked at number 8 in the Billboard 200 charts in 1974, and Lagrange reached number 41 in the Billboard Hot 100 charts. Apparently, there you
Almost,
go.
Almost made the top 40.
But I mean, obviously, this record and Lagrange got a lot of radio play. Still gets a lot of classic radio play,
It does.
to this
It
day,
does.
right?
And for a good reason. I mean, again, it's such a perfect fusion of like this, Billy Gibbons does this old blues guy kind of voice that's pretty authentic, actually,
Yeah,
and it really works. Just the juxtaposition has just always blown me away.
totally. And some of the songs, like the titles of the song, "Waiting for the Bus," obviously, but "Jesus Just Left Chicago," great track.
Yeah,
"Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers," "Master of Sparks," "Hot Blue and Righteous." I mean, who's coming up with these names? It's great. Move me on down the line, "Precious and Grace," Lagrange, "She Can Have You Heard." I mean, just this, yeah. I probably, if I was to go back now, I mean, in terms of overall dynamics and this is really where they started to change, really
I
become that
agree.
big band. But this sounds great. I mean, in terms of what Kevin did, and right
It
off the
does.
master tape, he did a heck of a job. Dynamics are incredible off this one.
Yeah,
When that drum comes in on Lagrange, I mean, it just, like, you're like, whoa! It just it,
yeah.
it, shakes, it shakes the room.
The detail and the definition is great, but again, not at the expense of making these records
No.
sound clean or clinical in a way that they shouldn't. I mean, they still have their power and their grit. So
Well, I think that's what we're used to hearing from Kevin's cuts. I think he keeps them as authentic as possible to what he's hearing on the master tape. And I mean, obviously, you know that from the test pressings they would have given you, right? You're gonna hear that. So I mean, that's the one thing we know. Kevin is pretty authentic to what you're gonna get off those tapes, and it really came off. And especially the drums in that one, just really was like, whoa! I actually lifted up the needle and played that part again. I'm like, really? It sounds that good. I didn't tell you that. I was like, wow, this is, yeah. I had
yeah,
my
you're
I had my
amazing.
daughter in the room. I said, you got to listen to this. This is crazy. So I turned it
Right,
up a little bit
Dad.
more. I was
Right,
like, oh
Dad.
my god, so good,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
good.
Like I said, I've been listening to them the last few nights. I had them on the speakers the other night, and then the other night I was listening in headphones. I kind of been
Yeah.
back and forth, but
Well, you
yeah,
and I were going back and forth. Which album did you listen to? How did it sound? Right? It was kind of fun. And then I forgot this. This was also one of the inners in Tres Hombres as well. This is the
yep,
original. Originally, I guess, stuffed in the album as
yes, the
well. So
original
some of the
insert. Yes, we leave nothing out. We
no,
want
this
them
is
to
great.
be. I mean, obviously they're done to a new spec, and they're all gatefolds, whether they were or not. But we
Yeah.
like to keep them as authentic and make sure that everything that was part of the record is there. So
Okay, so next up chronologically, we would have Fandango. Here we go. Put it up.
yeah, another big album and unique because basically one side is live and one side is studio. And I think it was a smart idea actually to get to hear them live because they were amazing live, and especially
Look
for
at
the 80s.
look at that stadium packed with
And
ZZ
would you
Top
not show
fans.
that picture if you had a crowd like that? I would too. I mean, I'd be all over that.
Look at
That's
that. That's
incredible.
unbelievable. I don't. Where was that? Let's see. I don't even see the ZZ Top's first annual Texas-sized rompin' stompin' barn dance and barbecue. It says here, Patrick. Austin, summer of '74, with 80,000 friends in Austin, Texas.
Amazing. By their
Woo!
fourth album, they have an 80,000
Come on.
person audience. Yeah, incredible. But this album, of course, had a major hit on it too, Tush, which got a lot of airplay, even top 40. I do remember hearing that quite a bit on top 40.
Well, the Fandango, I mean, being the first side is live, it actually really works well for this album.
I think so
And
too.
I think it really does work well. And I think it doesn't really, I don't know, it just I think it's perfect the way they put it down, and they
I
have what
agree. It
Hush
holds
was the
together as an album really well, actually. And I think, you might have a tendency to think of something like that as a bit of throwaway. It's like, I just did one live side, but it's not. It melds together very well. And again, it just shows what they were able to do live at that time, which was incredible. They had an
and,
amazing energy.
and
Plus,
having
another great
having and having fun here too. Look at this.
plus Billy's like sort of almost nudie suit there was really cool. I'd love to have that jacket.
There you go. So this would be 1975 then, the Fandango,
Right.
when that came out. And I will another thing I noticed, the detail, you guys. I mean, you even have it numbered here on every album jacket as well.
Yeah,
So
actually, that's good to point out because
okay.
every box is numbered, but every album inside is numbered too, and they will match. So if you get set number 0075, every record inside will be 007.
I feel pretty honored. I got triple zeros. I mean, that's awesome.
You got the
Yeah.
lowest count there is, Steve.
Can't get any lower than that. But yeah, Fandango, and again, another great album. I think if it's this is one definitely. I will be honest with you, that's not something I actually really had listened to prior to me getting this box set. Right. So I mean, this really opened it up for me in terms of their overall. Talent of these guys. Not, of course, I knew that going into this, but it's if you're just looking at their chronologically how they're growing as a band and really taking some risks. They're really starting to do this here in the Fandango album.
Yeah, they are. It's like they're constantly moving forward, but while being true to their roots. The playing's always great. They're just getting tighter and tighter all the time, and just the record's getting more inventive. So yeah, they're really enjoyable to watch to listen to that arc.
I don't think I put up the Fandango tape box yet, did I? So I'll do that. There it is.
Yep, looks familiar.
Yeah. And then
your Amigo tape box again, all with the Warner logos that would have been.
You kept it. It's kept it cool, right? You got the same logo, the same font used for the album cover of Fandango. I love that.
Yep.
I love this picture here. Right, that's so cool. Yeah. This
little promotional bits and things that
I really, again, not really knowing this album, I really enjoyed this. This was actually, to be honest, this was my favorite album. Listening to it because it was really an unknown album to me, and I really enjoyed it.
Fun, yeah.
Right? It was great fun.
Well, I hope that obviously, I think any fans of ZZ Top are going to be pretty excited about this, and hopefully will be. In to get this. I think it's still a reasonable price. But one thing that kind of excites me too, and I've seen from a lot of the fans on the various, on your YouTube channel and on the High Fidelity Facebook page, that a lot of people are buying these records that they don't necessarily know, but they know that they like the hi-fis, and then getting into it and realizing, I bet a lot of people said that about television. I've seen a lot of people say that about the Devo Freedom of Choice. It's just like, never really liked Devo. I didn't know this record, but I thought I'd try it. But it's great. I love it. It's one of the best sounding hi-fis. So hopefully, if you don't know all these ZZ Top albums, they're worth checking out. And these, I can't say I've bought every edition of every ZZ Top album, but to me, I've never heard them sound better than this.
So here's the final one in the box. I'll put it up. Tell us about it.
Tejas, their final London album. And again, a big step forward.
It is. Yep.
And again, wonderful artwork, great cover.
Look at that. I love that.
Yeah, super cool. And as you can see, the ZZ Top logo on this cover is what we used for the box set. That's the
so shiny. And then here's the tape. Here's the tape.
Yep.
So this would have been released in 1976, obviously, right? The last album of this box. So, what did you think of this album in terms of when it first came out? Were you a fan of this record, or did you sort of
I wasn't familiar with this one. Yeah. There weren't, the kind of as familiar radio tracks from this record. So again, it was something I think I discovered later when I went back to sort of, get into these records. Yeah. I mean, I was a teenager when these records came out, and as most people know, when you're a teenager, you have limited income, and I can
you're dating yourself now, Patrick.
Most of my income are records and magazines and books, but even then, you couldn't buy them all.
Tejas means friends, apparently, is what I looked up, which is wonderful. A lovely album as well. So, do you have a favorite ZZ Top album out of this five? You said Tres Hombres. Is that the one, or is it just
Tres Hombres? Probably, but I got to say I really love Rio Grande Mud too.
Yeah. It's hard for me. I mean, they all sound fantastic, and I mean, I think too. And I always say this: if you're just getting into the vinyl collecting, and you stumble upon this box set and you drop it on your turntable, you're going to be blown away by it. I mean, really. I think I think we're getting spoiled now because we sort of know what to expect, album after album that comes out through Kevin Gray and through Rhino High Fidelity. So, this will not disappoint anyone, any of the 2,000 people that buy it.
I agree. I think you'll be very pleased if you get it. And I know, part of what's attractive about Rhino Hi-Fi is that it's a good price point. It's $40 for an audiophile record that I think most people would agree holds its own, and it's pretty unheard of to get something at that price. So this is basically 5 records at that price in a set. So for $200, I know it's a bit of an investment,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of people will be excited to get it. If you're sort of a ZZ Top neophyte, it is a bit of a big leap, but if you can afford it, you won't be disappointed, I'm sure. So, and you know, if you don't get it soon, they'll probably be gone pretty soon. So, and as we mentioned before, we are limiting these to 2 to a customer this go round.
Right.
But that's, if everybody bought 2, that's 1,000 people. So you got to get in there quick.
Well, there you go. There's all 5, Patrick. Get them on the website now. I guess as this video has aired, it's already live, so people are probably going back and forth and ordering their box set and watching our video, hopefully. But I
I'll
wanted to
be
thank.
excited to hear what people think about it. I'm very excited about this release.
Well, I will say I know you and your team at Rhino read all the comments from my show and all the posts and all the Hoffman stuff. And I mean, you text me and I get some of your colleagues texting me as well. So I mean, you guys are well aware of the noise that's out there with everything that goes on with your releases. And I want everyone to be clear of that, because obviously, I thank you again for allowing me to be part of this and doing these with you. And I know I'm a customer too and a big fan. So I mean, we just want the best we can get, and I mean, I know you guys are working on that, so it's really cool to see that.
We are. We got a lot more exciting things coming. We've got 2 new releases for September that hopefully we'll be seeing pretty soon. So I can't
Any
wait to tell you
any more Easter eggs after that though, or what are you going to say? Can you really?
let's see. What else can I say?
Everyone gets in trouble on this show, when they come on my show. I
They
get them
do.
to say things
Well,
they're
let's
not allowed
just
to say.
say, I know a lot of people were waiting to see what we were going to say. This was unique about Rhino Hi-Fi, but
Well, I posted it. I
some
posted
other
it on
great
my.
surprises coming soon. So
So there's other surprises coming soon.
there are.
Because I had posted on my on the one of the Facebook forums. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be with a twist. So I definitely feel this is with a twist. So there's going to be more twists. You think coming out again? More twists? Yeah.
There will be.
Okay.
Now,
Cool.
I will tell you, September is going to be our standard, 2 LP drop kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not a box set, but
And not jazz.
they're not jazz.
And are they rock albums? Can you say that, or do you don't want to say that?
Uh, they they live in the rock lane
Okay.
to some degree. They're not classical. A lot of people were guessing classical because I guess September is classical music month, but they're not.
I did see a lot of those posts, so we can clear that
Not
up.
that
It's
I wouldn't love to do some.
not classical and not jazz. How's that?
There you go.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it at that, Patrick. Thank you. We'll see you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Steve, as always.
No worries. Bye bye.
All right. Take care. Bye.